Okay, hello everybody and welcome to Biz Talk. I'm your host Tanya Kabuya and this is another session of Biz Talk. And on today's episode we have Nde, a research analyst from Refinitiv, and a good friend of mine that I fondly call Shasha. I rarely ever use his actual name, so Shasha, welcome.
Thank you very much.
How are you today?
On this show again. Like I was saying, I'm okay. I'm all right. Looking forward to the show, and I'm glad that you have me.
It's a pleasure. You know, it's always a pleasure to have you, and you always have great advice. Okay. And for people you may not know, I've had the pleasure of hosting Nde on another spectrum where he actually advised a group of ladies on investment, which was never publicized. But this is the first time we're doing one where we publicizing it. So, Nde, would you mind telling the people a little bit about yourself?
Well, what can I say? I'm originally from Cameroon. My name is Nde Awasom. I am a recent graduate from UCT. I have a master's in investment management, and I work as a research analyst, research and risk and due diligence analyst for Refinitiv here in Cape Town. So right. That's what you need to know about me.
Well, so let's jump straight into it, because in a previous episode of Biz Talk, I actually spoke about it, where I said, as an entrepreneur, I struggled with handling finances. And this episode today, we wanted to discuss financial tips for entrepreneurs so that they can better manage their finances and they may know the number of opportunities that are available to them. One of the things I wanted to ask you as a research analyst, why do you find that when it comes to financing and everything that is finance, what do entrepreneurs struggle the most with?
I think that one of the things, especially for small and medium-sized businesses that people struggle with, is I think that a lot of people struggle with raising funds. And when I say raising funds, and it's in like two categories, you know. I think people struggle to actually get the funds that they need, or some people actually get the funds and actually don't know how to invest their funds right. You know, so those are two spectrums of raising capital that I've seen people struggle with.
Okay, people struggle with raising capital. So, okay.
Just to elaborate, all right, so like I said, just to elaborate, when it comes to struggling to raising funds, you know, I know that depending on what sort of business idea you have, not everybody is exposed, you know, to some, let's say, financial knowledge or places or sources of finance that they have, you know, so they struggle or they don't get the right idea. So for some people, you know, an idea which you can actually partner with a friend, they might end up going to take a loan from the bank, you know, and that loan from the bank is not really sort of convenient for the kind of business that you have. And as a result of that, for example, like if COVID breaks out now and you have a loan from the bank is not going to be lenient on you because you owe them money and the foreclosure is going to come. But you see, if you maybe partnered with a friend, you know, that's the kind of debt which you guys can restructure and, you know, and maybe your business could have survived, whereas you went and used the wrong type of finance, you know, and that kind of thing. With the other kind of one, I'm sorry, do you have a question?
No, I'm listening to you. I'll ask something after you're done.
All right, and with the other one, when I said people actually invest the wrong way, is this comes with medium-sized businesses where your business is actually growing and you're trying to grow the business, right? And what some people do is you want to take your business, say, to the next level, and you say, okay, do I want to diversify my production? Do I want to just grow the market, And that idea is very critical because a lot of businesses actually go under, especially medium size, is a lot of them try to push for the big front, and eventually they get into risk which is not very calculated, and as a result of that they misuse the money which they probably should have actually reinvested in the business to grow rather than diversifying. So this is some of the financial challenges that I have seen small to medium sized businesses come under.
All right, this is actually interesting. And I feel like this is actually the kind of conversation that needs to be had because we're not having this kind of conversations. So you say medium-sized companies usually go under because they don't know how to invest or they don't know how to calculate the actual risks that are associated. Can you maybe brief, like as somebody that does not have your background, somebody that does not understand finances that well, what does that person do if they have a fairly good company, a fairly good business that is going okay, and they want to diversify and or they want to invest? What do they do? What should be done so that they don't go under?
Usually, when you grow, businesses have different stages, right? You go from a small size business and you become a medium sized firm. Your firm is running, and depending on what kind of, industry or product or service that you're offering, when you're medium sized, you maybe say you had your business for 2 to 3 years. You have a steady source of income. There are people who are working for you now, and you're like, okay, cool. Now I want to see what is there in the market. So the one thing which I've seen with a couple of people is saying, do I want to grow my business? Like, do I want to grow the market share that I have, or do I want to grow the size of my firm, right? And sometimes growing the size of your firm is saying, okay, I'm in one industry, but I think that my services can actually be moved into another industry, right? And if you want to move into another industry, you must remember that there are also competitors in that industry who will be competing with you, right? And sometimes what people do is they actually take that money and you maybe invest in another industry which you've not done proper research on, and as a result of that, you keep pumping so much money there, and it goes from now being diversifying your business to almost a new line of business for you. And if that sinks there, it starts affecting the company, because maybe now what you could have done is maybe you could have invested and paid your staff more, or hired more people, or maybe done some rebranding to your product and brought more people to grow. And as a result of that, that's money lost, and it would come back to haunt you.
So basically what I'm hearing you say is if you're a medium-sized enterprise, what you should look at before you start diversifying, you should do proper research and invest cautiously.
Research.
So basically that's
cautiously.
That. Yeah. And now let me go back to the small. Okay. You want to say something?
Yeah, no, I just want to add, and also the thing also about medium size is you also want to be careful with the way you invest also as a medium size. Because, when you grow to medium size now and you have a business, you sort of have more opportunity to get money, than somebody who is starting small. Now your business is opening, and, when you go to meet a potential person who has money, or an investor who is looking to invest his money somewhere, they are more likely to give you their money because you have an actual track record. It's not a product that is trying to come into the market. And so you also want to take people's money whose ideas are aligned to the business's own as well. For example, somebody might be looking for a very high return within a short period of time, and you cannot provide that kind of return, but you also need the money. Now, if you invest that money and you cannot give them the return that they, it's that clash of ideas, and if you lose that funding, it sort of tarnishes your image, So for medium-sized firms, when it always comes to financing, it's always a very tricky stage for them, Do I stay medium, or do I grow slowly, or do I take my business to the next level? That's always the tricky part for medium-sized firms.
Okay.
That I say.
I know you've touched a bit on funding, like for both medium-sized enterprises and small businesses. I know that a lot of people feel that, like, the minute they have a business idea, what they have in mind is, let me go to the bank and ask for a loan. And when you look at figures, you find out that a lot of business loans get turned down. So a lot of people cannot leave the actual business, the actual job, and start a business because they couldn't probably get a business loan. Could you maybe speak on different type of funding that could be available for somebody who's trying to start up or for medium-sized companies?
All right. So that's I actually figured that that's what most of our conversation will be centered about, right? So there are different ways of funding, and we're in a time where financing for businesses has changed in the last 10 years. Since the financial crisis, the way people raise capital has changed, and we're seeing a huge shift now with people who are actually who are actually encouraging small and medium-sized enterprises, and that's also very key, because I feel like that's where the bulk of business is usually. So as you said, most times, the generous place where people go to get money from is, I draw up a business plan and I need money, and I'm like, okay, cool, let me go to the bank and get a loan. But let's just start from like the small things. Sometimes if you want to open a business, you can actually fund your business yourself. Depending on what kind of business you have, you can actually say, okay, I have a job. Let me give you an example like myself. I have an idea that I want to start, and I don't think that I'm willing to take on debt for the business, So I think that my idea, if I wait for another 1-2 years, will still be relevant in the market. So I'm not planning on taking debt, and I'll decide to fund it by myself, Most of my salary or whatever I earn will be pushed to a savings account that will earn me interest. And when I feel like I have grown that money to a place where I'm ready to start, I can take it and do it. If anything happens to that capital, I don't owe anybody. It's my loss, and whatever has gone, I can walk away and start back afresh. I don't need anybody coming to foreclose on my assets. A second way of doing this is, say I have a business idea and I can take on this idea, but it's going to cost me so much. Why don't I involve a friend or involve family or people who have it? I'll give you an example. One of the things which we've seen that have grown in the last 5 years is podcast, which you have, right? And, you may have an idea, you have a niche in the market that you want to cover, and now I'm ready to start my podcast. I've done everything, but what do I know? I need to buy equipment for my podcast. And if you want to do solid equipment, equipment could go from between 10 to 50,000, right? But maybe let's say the timing of my idea is very crucial to me. So what do? I know a friend who has a camera, and I say, okay, cool, I have this idea, and I know that you're looking to get into this. Why don't you come and use your camera in filming and doing this? I'll do the speaking, and then we get somebody who can do the online thing. You see, there now, I never need to buy a camera. I don't need to own a camera, even though part of my business is owned by somebody, but I get to keep in my money I get the skills that I need. I get a better camera person, and I get somebody who is equipped to deal with the tech side. So I have almost funded my business with human capital and no cost because I've been able to share that business out. you know. But if I want to do the podcast and I feel that the podcast should be only done by me, then maybe I'll fund it myself. You see, in that kind of aspect, you see that the funding and ownership is very key there. Is very key there for you. Depending on how I want to spread, depending on how I want to spread my risk or how I want the ownership of the business to go, that will affect my funding. So just to move now and to say, okay, now, that's just the basic way of funding. Now let's say I have an idea and, I don't have that kind of money. What's there for me? When you go to the bank to ask for funding, well, there are two kinds of loans that you can take from the bank, right? You can take a loan from the bank to actually say, I have a business idea and I want the bank to fund my business, right? So I am taking all the capital that I need from a loan from the bank, right? There you want to be careful with the rate at which the bank is willing to give you this loan facility form, the structure of the payment, and if any in terms of irregularities, how your product is structured, and to make sure that you actually have the means to pay this loan back. Or what you can actually do to the bank is you can say is, I'm going to raise part of the money for myself, and what I actually need is, say, working capital. I need cash at hand. I can raise my business, but I just need cash to sort of run the business. Let's say there's a gap between the disbursement and payment of my clients or people paying me back. I need that gap to be covered. So why would I go and take a huge loan from a bank where I can take a working capital loan from the bank? I just need petty cash, in between so that I can stay afloat. So if I need to buy goods and I don't have, I can use the money which I take from a loan to go and pay, and the interest rates there are usually lower, and that way now it's sort of calculated risk that I'm taking for my business. I'm taking risk, which is like it's an everyday thing. I'm sure my clients will pay for my services, and I'll get the money back and I'll have money to pay back, rather than taking a huge loan from the bank, which I actually don't need. So there again, it's the structure of the kind of loan that you want. You just don't want to rush the bank and take a loan. You want to take a loan which actually suits the style of the business which you do, right? And in some cases also, you don't actually need a loan. The loan which can come is, the loan can actually come from your suppliers, where people can actually give you those goods now on credit. And I don't need to take money now from the bank. I can just take the credit I just have credit facilities from my suppliers, and as long as I can pay a portion back of it, and then I'm good to go, so that's another source of funding. And then a creative way of funding that has come now is people actually use like their customers to actually fund their business. So I saw recently during the COVID period where you have people who are wine producers, and those like the ban on alcohol. So what happens is, let's say I'm a wine producer and something I'm producing is seasonal. So during an off season, what I can do is I can ask people to place orders for what they want during the season, when the season is in sale. I take their money, I the business. I don't need to take money, You want this, I set the price, I calculate the cost, I calculate the profit to pay to me, I collect the finances from it, I use the money which people will pay for an already made product to actually make the product and sell back to them. You see, that way now, like in a period now where you're not making anything, you actually have money to stay afloat, because the customers are actually financing the services or the goods that you're actually providing for them. So you sort of like stay with money, because people always pay upfront. If you have that kind of business, it's the best, because now instead of going to take a loan from the bank or getting access to people. I have my actual clients who actually pay for the services, you know. Like for example, like a tailor, if you want a dress, you know, you pay upfront for your dress, you give me the design, I buy the material and everything, you know. It's that sort of business where,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, if you don't have overhead costs which you necessarily need funding from outside, the clients can actually fund the business for you.
And I think also one of the other ones I think that has become popular of late is funding.
Yes, crowdfunding. I was just about to talk about crowdfunding. So crowdfunding is actually very new, and I really like the idea of what crowdfunding does for you because I literally call it a friendly stock exchange market because what you do on a crowdfunding is I have an idea and I don't have money, but I think that is a very great idea. So I take my idea, I go to a crowdfunding platform, I upload my project. When my project is vetted now and is put online to that place, I get access now to people who want to invest in my idea. The beauty about it is, you know, there's so many costs that I don't have to incur anymore, right? Now going to look for investors, I don't need to look for investors. That onus and that amount of money that I'll spend to get my idea out is no longer because the crowdfunding platform that away from me. I pitch my idea to people because I pitch their idea once. The idea is out on their platform and people can read and people can actually contribute money to it. And different crowdfundings have crowdfundings. There are different ways in which crowdfunding works. So some crowdfundings actually when they put up the idea, they give you a period of time which you actually need the funding. So if you say I need it in 6 days, in 6 months time, they put up the idea and say, okay, we need 6 months and we need X amount of money for you to raise, you know, so that people actually see. I like this person's idea and this person wants to get running by 6 months. So we'll try as much as possible to give this person this capital by 6 months. In some places, if by the 6 months you have not reached that target, what they will do is they might actually take it down and reimburse the money, or some places will just give you the amount of money. In places where they take it down, what they might actually do is they might actually say, "We think we like your idea, we might actually rebrand it, do a couple of changes, and then restructure it and put it back up there for you." You know, so that gives you access to investors, that gives you access to marketing, that also gives you access to that gives you access to potential clients. One of the most brilliant ideas that I saw yesterday when I was actually researching crowdfunding is I've actually seen musicians who actually use crowdfunding to actually fund their albums. You know, people now, when you want to make a music album and you don't have money, you know, you give them the vision of the platform or what kind of music you want to do and how you think your music is relevant, and people actually pay for it. The beauty about that thing which I saw is you actually have people there who are producers, some of them who actually have money and don't have a client. So at the end of the day, they would fund that project, they will work as a producer, they'll get your album out, you get the money that you want, but now they get accreditation to say, I worked on this person's album and this is the album that I produced. You get your album out, I get you as a client, and I get the experience of working on an album. You know, so that's some of the beauty about of using crowdfunding, because it's a source of finance, it's a way of marketing, it provides you with the customer base, and it actually provides you a way of actually tracking how far like your funding is coming, you know, because it's on a platform. You say, okay, now I have 2 months to actually get this funding. Can you guys try to reach out to more people so that we can actually meet the deadline? So it's actually a very beautiful way of funding business in this modern time that I've actually seen. And something which is similar to that is what you call a business incubator. You know, the most common business incubator that I've seen is mostly in universities, and they're very big universities where what you do is you have like a university where they have alumni and people who are looking for people who have bright ideas and are trying to invest in them. So you come, your idea, you know, and they like your idea, and they give you sort of an investment team to work with, you know. So it can be an idea. It doesn't have to be anything there, you know. You say, I have this idea that I'm looking forward, I'm trying to bring it to it. And, they actually throw resources at you. They give you a workspace, which you don't have to pay for. They give you mentorship. They give you expertise, people that you don't have access to come and actually give you expertise to grow your business. They bring people from industry, the alumni that people can tap into. They actually give you working capital. Some people can actually give you loans because of the alumni in this particular example that you have, and you have access to actual investors. One of the things that I love about this is, especially for businesses which are maybe small or medium term that require a high amount of intellectual expertise, right? For example, let's say you want to do something like tissue cloning in food, right? I don't have money. I don't have money to do a genetic engineering experiment, right? But I think that my genetic experiment to grow, let's say, a frozen farm is revolutionary. Now I can do my experiment in the lab from that incubator for free. I don't carry that cost anymore. And if that experiment goes well, my idea becomes a reality now. That cost is completely covered for you by the business incubator. And with the expertise that you have now, and people actually who have worked with you from that idea will actually be interested in you. So they go from not only being experts, they actually go from marketing the product to you and actually bringing it into reality. That way you get experience, you get financing, you get access to clients, you get access to investors, So I think crowdfunding and business incubators are if anybody, small or medium-sized firms actually have that platform, to me, it's a revolutionary marketing product, because it's almost like an all-in-one way of funding your business. You get clients there, you get financing there, you get marketing there, you get exposure there, you get access there, So to me, anybody who has access to a business incubator or crowdfunding platforms, my idea is that I think you should push for it and go for it.
Actually, that is the truth. It's actually funny that when you think about it, that a lot of people are not aware of this. Like they are these crowdfunding platforms. They're not aware of business incubators. They're not even aware that they are venture capitalists also that are interested in investing in small to medium enterprises. And a lot of people just look at the model of approaching the bank for a business loan. Thank you for sharing those insights, because I hope and I believe that it's going to help people out there. Now, I wanted to bring it back a little bit to investment for small to medium enterprises, because on a previous my previous episode, I actually touched on this, that when I had a business in Cape Town. I sent my end of the year financial statement to my auditor, and my auditor was like, "No, but you have a lot of cash that you were keeping in the bank, but there are ways to even invest that cash short term that could raise you some interest that are going to work for you." But unfortunately, when I went to the bank and I approached one of the consultant they were like, "No, there's nothing of the sort." So I believe that sometimes the bank does not give that information out. So could you maybe tell us about it, because so that other small to medium enterprises that may have extra cash on hand may know what to do with cash that they usually keep in the bank, that instead of keeping it in the bank and collecting banking charges on them, you can actually collect interest on that.
Yeah, that's true. So one of the things that I always say about banking is going to keep your money in the bank is one thing, and understanding what the bank does with your money is another thing. If you ask if you go to the bank and you ask a banker about questions, they're not going to give you the answers that you're looking for. It's always asking the stupid questions, to the bank.
Mm.
I have this money. Do you have any investment here which provides a 6% interest, whatever it takes? What do I need to take to get this sort of money? So um just to answer that question, there are many ways. There are different saving options, for a business that you have, especially when you have cash. One of the first things that I tell everybody is the first thing to do is whenever you go to the bank to save your money, when they quote you, whenever they quote you an interest rate, you must ask them what that interest rate means. Somebody says, "Oh, we have a 32-day notice account which gives you 6% interest, yearly, for you compound that money on a yearly will give you 5% or whatever." And you're like, "Oh, that's nice." Well, that percent is they're not really giving you. They're saying whatever money that you have, when they compound all your money at the end of the year, they're gonna give you 6%. So that means every month what you get is 6% divided by 12. You don't get 6%. They're not growing your money for you at 6%. They bring your money for you 6% when you take that money and you calculate the interest for over 1 year, it's going to give you 6%. They're not telling you that they're going to invest your money every single month by 6%. They're going to do 6 by 12. And when you add 6 by 12 times 12, you get 6%. So that's the first thing that I'll say is know the interest rate which the bank is giving you. Understand what it means. Don't be quick to see an interest rate and jump up, and say, "Oh no, they're giving me this percent." Actually understand what the interest rate means. Are they giving me 6% once a year, or is this 6% growing at a certain amount of things? And if they're giving me a rate which is at 6%, that definitely means that the more money that I put into that account, the more interest that I'm going to earn there. So that sort of idea. But generally, in terms of what you can do is, I always tell people to try as much as possible to open a tax-free account. I think you can only open one, and I'm not too sure about the maximum amount of money which you can put in the account, because I think that it ranges from bank to bank, and I also think that there are financial regulations as to how much money you can also put in a tax-free account. But I'll also say go for a tax-free account, because I myself am actually going to get one on Tuesday.
No, but
I'm going to
definitely
get.
a tax-free account is something to go, because myself also opening one, because I think people it's a one way you can actually save your money and not get taxed on even interest that you are gaining on it.
Sure. Another one which I'll say is there's always a sort of savings where you have to give notice for, right? And the reason why I always like that is, for example, how my parents paid for my school fees was, instead of opening a trust fund for us, they sort of opened like a one, almost like a fifth. There are certain places in the world that have a longer notice period, right? What that does is you save money there and you make sure that you don't touch that money. Say if I'm saving for my child, I'll say, okay, cool. Whatever money that I have or in my business, this is only savings for my business, and I don't want, and and it's not an emergency fund, it's saving for the business. So I want that money to grow, and I don't want to be tempted to go pull out that money. So I'll say, okay, cool. I'm going to create a 38-day notice account. What that means is every single month when I have my account from the business, you deduct X amount of money from my account, whether it's a line of credit or it's just a savings account or check account from the business. Whatever I have on this date, transfer X amount of money to this account, right? That amount is always, yeah, there's a fixed interest rate that you earn. And the more money you contribute to that account, the more interest you earn. So if I have 5,000 today, they'll calculate 5,000 interest today. That money grows, and then let's say I add another 10,000. 10,000 plus the initial amount plus the interest that is there is the amount that is going to grow on it. So the more money you put in that account, the more interest and the faster the amount of money that you grow. And the good thing about that account is you don't actually you cannot draw on that account immediately. If I want to draw money on that account, I must give them the notice period. I must give them. So let's say I need the money in 6 months' time when I need to buy a purchase, right? And I don't want to touch money in the account. I say, okay, I need this money to buy goods on the 6th of November. I'll save this amount of money, and that money will be made available to you on the 6th of November. You cannot keep the money and say, okay, look, I'll just pinch from this money and then I'll put it back. No, the bank, you go to the bank on the 6th of November, they have your money for you and you use it, or they can actually transact from you on that account on the 6th of November. So that way you don't have to keep the money. You're sure that the bank will transact for you on your behalf, and it's a safer way for you to keep money. So those are just a few tips which you can use to actually save money for yourself. And that can be short term, medium term. In South Africa, I don't know, the money market is not really doing very well as it used to be. Most times I would have told people to actually most times go for short-term investments. The money markets are not doing very well, but now it might actually be good because they've sort of dropped the interest rate in South Africa, but inflation is still very high. So even though you're getting good money, maybe with the lending rate lower, you're still not really beating inflation that very much, but if you're still looking to save money on a short term, you want to scout the various banks and see what they have on their short term or money market rates, and you can compare, and whichever one feels great for you, within a 6 to 12 month savings where you can actually grow the money there and then take it and reinvest in something long term, you should go for it.
Okay, great. So we are about to wrap up. Any other financial tips for entrepreneurs that you feel that people are not getting it out there?
I'll say I'll just say this to anybody. There's a huge difference between cash and profit. It's the one thing which I think I've seen a lot of people confuse, right? You can have 40,000 Rand profit and you have 0 Rand sitting in your account. Cash is cash, and profit can be virtual.
Yeah, true.
And cash is always king. I remember this from my third year finance and account, and when I did accounting in honors, they sang this to everybody. Cash is king. Profit and cash are completely two different things. Cash is money that you have. Like if you send your hand in your pocket and you have 100 Rand and you have X amount of profit on your books, the amount of cash that you have, the amount of profit that you have is different from the amount of cash that you have. If I need to go and buy anything, I only have 100 Rand to buy. I don't have 40 Rand that is sitting on my financial statement.
True.
That amount of cash. So I think that a lot of people need to do cash management a lot. Especially for a small size business, because one of the things that can actually take you out is you're not managing what you call your working capital, because your working capital is always what just generates your cash. And what is very good about your working capital is is what you call working capital liquidity. Is how fast can I turn whatever I'm providing, my services or good, into actual cash. If that thing is slow, you need to improve it to the most effective way as possible.
Absolutely true.
Rather, if I'm making 40,000, if I'm making 40,000 profit a month, I should be able to have at least 75% of that profit in cash sitting with me. It should be you should be you want to be in a comfortable position to be, what do I do with my profit that I have with me? Do I put it in the bank, or do I, buy goods and services, versus when am I actually collecting my profit? I've sold these goods and services, when am I actually collecting them? So I think for me,
that is important. That is important because entrepreneurs often pay them. I always say one advice I've learned, something that I learned the hard way, was pay yourself first. Ensure that your data's list,
yes,
your data's list that you collect as quickly as possible, because bad debt is a reality. Bad debt is a reality for an entrepreneur, whether you're a service-based company, whether you are a consumer-based company. Be careful how you extend credit, and also bad debt is a reality. Collect as quickly as possible. Ensure, I always say, I ensure I have 80% of my money, because 20% I can afford to lose it. And I mean, when I say I can afford, I mean I can afford to lose it in terms of bad debt, but I cannot afford to lose 80% of the money.
Yeah, exactly.
So to our entrepreneurs out there, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. If there's anything else you would like us to cover, do advise us. Like, send me a DM, send me an email, let me know, and I'll try to cover it. And I'm working on getting somebody to come speak on managing working capital, because that was something that I have struggled with in the past, and we'll bring in even more experts on different episodes to help you guys. Then for us, for today, is bye-bye.